Classes, jobs, professions. For most normal people, these things are simple facts of life, but for the average dungeon-dwelling MMO player like yours truly, these terms take on a far more serious meaning, defining your entire identity and value as a human being. Now you might think that that's an exaggeration, but you'd be wrong. MMO players take their genre very seriously because what could be more important than competing for virtual rewards in a game which will probably be redundant in a month and put on an in-game cash shop in a couple of years. So it's no surprise then that your class choice, the type of character you instantly go for when firing up your chosen MMO, says a lot about who you are as a person. Or, you could just be a RuneScape Chad and bypass all of this bullshit. So without further ado, allow me, Vulgrin, to tell you, dear viewer, what your MMO class archetype says about you. The Barbarian. For decades, scientists have theorised as to what would happen if you brought a caveman from the Stone Age into our modern era. Well, fortunately, with you around, we now know. You're a barbarian, you're big, you're tough, you're illiterate. You probably play a character with either green skin or hooves, and your wardrobe consists of 2 loincloths which you swap between every solar eclipse. You have a constantly inflated ego, partly because you're always at the forefront of every battle, and partly because other players often stare at you in wonder. You think this is because they're admiring your muscled physique, but in truth, they're probably wondering what is the lower number, your IQ score, or your total number of teeth. Let's be honest, it's a difficult question to answer. The Mage. You are the complete opposite of the Barbarian in almost every way, which is hardly surprising given that you value books as a source of knowledge and not as a source of toilet paper. You like to think of yourself as a scholar, and the description of your class, regardless of what game you play, likely reflects this. But let's be honest, the only thing you're really interested in studying is how to blow stuff up. You're like Oppenheimer, but without the self-hate. In fact, the only person who questions your destructive antics is the tank who needs to hold threat when you're dropping ICBMs on every mob in the dungeon. In short, you are the resident pyromaniac of your group, and you love nothing more than gripping your hardened staff in both hands and blasting everything in sight. Sometimes you even do it in game. The Ranger. Congratulations, you're the Hawkeye of your chosen MMO. In a world of fantasy with master wizards and heroic warriors, your greatest accomplishment is being able to shoot a bow and arrow, or maybe a gun if you're feeling really adventurous. Now I'm going to be quite careful with what I say for this one. Us English folk are very attached to our bows and arrows historically, and if we collectively had a national MMO class identity, this archer archetype would probably be it. No, I'm just kidding, it would definitely be the Brewmaster Monk from WoW. Ooh, I wonder what he's got in his keg. Dark fruits, anyone? Be prepared for your player base to be divided almost 50-50 between those who model their character off Legolas and those who just wish they could play the elusive engineer class that so many games lack. Seriously, Blizzard, when are we getting Tinkerers? However, despite the split, you are all united in your ability to shoot every single enemy not actively being targeted by the rest of your group. Seriously, how do you do this? It's a skill at this point. It's like you're using the ricochet gun from Time Splitters or something. If aim assist existed in MMO games, you would be a god, but it doesn't, and instead, you're just that Chad warrior's little brother who gets an invite as a +1. Fortunately for the rest of us, this class always comes with a pet as standard, which you'll probably name after the family dog, and as he'll do 90% of your damage anyway, you'll never need to learn anything or grow as a player. Just know that if I ever cross you in PvP, Fluffykins is getting it first. Consider it my way of helping you grow as a player. You can thank me later. The Rogue. Rogue, assassin, thief. Let's be real here, you're a criminal, and everybody knows it. Your class is at the top of everyone's kill on sight list, and for good reason. Why would you trust a person who cosplays as Lucien LeChance and is about as reliable as the British train system? Yes, I did just compare an MMO class to public transport. This is truly the channel for cutting edge content. Now as a rogue player, you are undoubtedly the sweatiest nerd in any room, being the proud owner of numerous body pillows and enough cheap thrift store bought katanas to arm the entire cast of Shogun. Speaking of, you're also a massive weeb, and your favourite single player game is Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. You actually share a lot in common with the shinobi protagonist of that game. with the only notable difference being that he lost his arm fighting a samurai, whereas you sacrificed yours to join the Dead Hand Gang.
It's just a film! It's just a normal film! God, I'm getting changed, get out!
Intermission. This video is sponsored by my fiance, who gets a break every Monday and Friday night because I now stream on Twitch at around 7 PM every Monday and Friday. We get into some really zany antics on the stream. I mean, I'm currently playing Classic WoW, but who knows, if you join me there, maybe I'll even play Retail WoW. I know, right? Totally pushing the limits of streaming. For real though, I actually really enjoy streaming. I want to play more MMOs and other games on stream, and I would love for you to join me there. Plus, that way, you get a chance to roast what I'm playing. So yeah, come at me I guess. Okay, intermission's over. Back to the video. The Knight. The Knight, the Paladin, the quintessential do-gooder of all MMO games. Whatever version of this class you play, they're pretty much always based to some degree on an idealised depiction of a medieval European knight, often with some holy magic element thrown in. Fortunately for you, the focus is on that idealised part there, so your class development doesn't include chopping off a peasant's hands for stealing a turnip, or marrying your 14-year-old cousin to thwart the ambitions of your uncle, Arch-Viscount Mecklen von Digby Rigby McSchlachtenbaum. Probably actually a historical figure, by the way. Unfortunately for you, this class ends up literally being a white knight, which plays like a warrior who traded his balls for some heavy armour and insanely overpowered abilities like lay on hands, the only thing you'll be laying ever, and divine protection, ironically the only kind of protection you'll ever need. A true paladin takes a vow of celibacy after all, and as much as looking in the direction of your local catgirl will see you banished to the chapter monastery, polishing maces for a week. Read that line however you want. The Warlock. It's time to fish out your My Chemical Romance CDs and your early 2000s emo phase Bebo page, because you're packing more edge than a 10 million times folded Japanese Nodachi. Depending on what game you're playing, you'll either dress head to toe in black robes festooned with the bones of small farmyard animals, or in 10-inch heeled thigh-high black leather boots and basically nothing else. You'll often be followed around by some sort of familiar, typically either a small impish creature with the voice of Gilbert Gottfried, or a seductive demon making sexual innuendos like Josh Strife Hayes reading a book.
Boom, son, slap that snake. Don't clip that out of context. You need to know. It's not about slapping a snake, this is a book.
In terms of character customization, this class presents an opportunity to develop the objectively perfect goth witch aesthetic, but I know you. You're a twisted soul, and you'll probably go with a fucking gnome or, God forbid, one of those deranged Funko Pop looking things from Final Fantasy, and I just want you to take a moment and think about that choice. Burning witches at the stake might be a thing of the past, but everyone knows us MMO players love a good bit of nostalgia, so do not push your luck. The Cleric. I gave the Hunter Ranger archetype a pasting earlier for being such a boring class fantasy compared to some of the other MMO archetypes out there, but honestly, this one is so much worse. Who in their right mind, when asked what fictional class or character they'd like to play in a video game, answers with, "I'd like to play a priest"? I mean, between being blamed for everything that goes wrong when you heal group content, and getting swarmed by enemy players in PvP like a UK chippy at 3 AM on a Sunday morning, you should be left wondering, why would you even want to play this class? But of course, there is a reason, isn't there? Power, control, the ability to join groups at whim regardless of your subpar abilities and home bargains sourced equipment. The priest healer is almost always the definitive, all-powerful healer in any MMO, and as long as idiots be standing in fire and taking damage, you will be in high demand. Just watch out for when that tank you've been grouping with suddenly starts hitting on you because he assumes that as you play a hot elven maiden, you must look like Taylor Swift IRL. Now, there are multiple ways you can handle that situation if it does come about. You could make it clear that you're a sweaty, bearded dude in his mid-30s, apologise for any misunderstanding and agree for you to both move on with your lives. However, if you're a real priest player, the only acceptable course of action is to keep this deluded nerd's fantasy and your free gear funnel alive. Time to fish out that maid outfit hidden in your wardrobe, mate. Come on, we both know it's in there. The Druid. And finally we come to the resident tree-hugging class of MMO gaming, the Druid. You would rather spend 90% of your playtime running around as a quadruped than actually looking at your character, which is probably a good thing because that way the rest of us don't have to look at your manky toenails, which always seem to be visible in whatever new flip-flops the game developers design for you to wear. On the plus side, Druids are often very strong and versatile in most MMOs, meaning that you'll gain access to epic loot and impress other aging, balding millennials on the internet. It's just a shame that the price you will pay for this glory is being forced to stare at your bare form's ugly ursine arse the entire time you're playing it. Seriously, someone needs to find the dev who allowed this to exist and check his hard drive. And there it is, you made it to the end of the video. Did you enjoy it? Are you seething with rage? Did I miss something off the list? Let me know in the comments. You might be wondering what class is my go-to, but I'm not telling, so I guess you'll just have to figure that out. Honestly, I had a lot of fun making this, and I'd be up for doing something similar in the future. It felt like one of my earliest videos, which were always a blast to make at the time. Remember, you can check me out on Twitch if you'd like to see more of this stuff, and you can catch me every Monday and Friday night around 7 PM UK time. Until the next time though, take care of yourselves guys, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye!